The intersection of utility requirements and landscape codes creates some of the most challenging design scenarios in Florida. After 20 years of finding solutions, I've developed a systematic approach that turns what looks like an impossible conflict into a workable design. Here's the classic conflict. Your municipality requires trees planted every 30 feet along the street frontage. Florida Power and Light requires a 10-foot clearance from overhead power lines. And your site has existing overhead utilities running everywhere. You can't meet the tree spacing code without violating utility clearances, and you can't avoid the utilities without failing the landscape code. So what do? The resolution framework I now use starts with mapping all utilities first. Before I place a single tree on the plan, I want to know where every overhead line runs, where the underground vaults are located, and if there are any future utility expansion plans on file with the city. This isn't just about existing conditions, it's about understanding what the utility company has planned for the next 5 to 10 years. Because if they're adding infrastructure, your design needs to account for that. Next, I identify the no plant zones per utility company standards. Florida Power and Light publishes clearance requirements for different voltage lines. Most overhead distribution lines require 10 feet of horizontal clearance, but some high-voltage transmission lines require 15 or even 20 feet. Underground utilities have different rules. Gas lines, water mains, fiber optic conduits all have their own setback requirements. You need to know these standards cold before you start designing. Once I have the utility constraints mapped, I overlay the municipal landscape requirements. This is where you see the conflict clearly. The code says trees every 30 feet, but half your frontage is under power lines. The code requires a certain caliper inch total. But you can't plant large canopy trees where the utilities run. Now you have a documented site constraint, and that documentation is your key to finding the compromise. Here's the key learning I want you to take away. Most municipalities have alternative compliance provisions buried in their landscape codes. The magic words you're looking for are site constraints or practical difficulties. These provisions exist because code writers know that not every site can meet standard requirements, but you have to document why standard compliance isn't feasible. You can't just say utilities are in the way. You need to show the utility company clearance standards, map the conflict zones, and demonstrate that you've exhausted all reasonable options for meeting the base code. So, what are the solution strategies that actually work? First, propose understory trees with a maximum mature height of 25 feet under the power lines. Species like Drake elm, Geiger tree, or Simpson's stopper work well in central Florida and stay under utility clearances. This lets you meet tree count requirements without creating future conflicts. Second, increase landscaping in other areas as compensation. If you can't plant trees in the utility corridor, add more trees, shrubs, or ground cover in areas without constraints. Most codes allow this trade-off if you document it properly and show that the overall landscaped area meets or exceeds the minimum requirement. Third, use the equivalent landscaping provisions that most codes include. Orange County, Seminole County, and Osceola all have language allowing alternative designs if you can demonstrate equal or better aesthetic and environmental outcomes. This might mean installing a bioswale, adding native plantings, or creating a layered understory that provides the same canopy coverage and stormwater benefit as the required trees. Fourth, document the utility company restrictions in your submittal. Attach the FPL clearance standards. Include a letter from the utility company confirming the location of existing lines and reference the specific code section that allows for site-specific adjustments. When the plan reviewer sees that you've done your homework, they're far more likely to approve the alternative design. This approach transforms what feels like confrontation into collaboration. You're not asking the city to waive their code. You're showing them that you understand the code, you respect the intent, and you found a compliant solution that works within the site's physical constraints. That's the difference between a plan that gets rejected and a plan that gets approved on first submittal. Utility conflicts are unavoidable in Florida landscape design, but they don't have to derail your project. Map the constraints, document the conflicts, propose smart alternatives, and use the code provisions that exist for exactly this scenario. If you're dealing with Florida landscape codes and need clarity, let's connect on LinkedIn. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.